Good evening, Britain. It's time for the special end of year Co-Pilots podcast. Oh,
Yes.
I can't believe it. We're mere scant hours away from the end of 2017. How was
And
your
the
Christmas,
world.
Rich?
Oh, I'm sure it was fine. Fantastic. I love everything.
What was your favourite gift that you received and gift that you gave?
A favourite gift that I gave was half of the present I got for you.
Ah, yes, I very much enjoyed that present.
Good. That was the point. That's why I bought you masturbation aids.
You bought me AIDS.
No, some stuff to help you masturbate properly. Because I've seen you going at it, and it is not pretty. You do it incorrectly. You're not meant to use the knuckles. It's with just one hand either side, knuckles dug in. Not pretty.
I thought that's how everybody did it.
No. You are incorrect.
Oh dear. So what we're going to do for this very special episode, as it's the end of the year, it's a referential look back, if you will, at the year gone by and the TV shows we've watched, very much in the style of Hardcore Listing with Christian Stew on the Distraction Pieces network.
Yes.
Something you've not listened to.
Yes.
So what we're going to do, we're going to go through our top 5 shows, pilots of the year. The caveat being, if it's in our top 5, it has to have been a show that we'd not watched previously.
A new show to us from the podcast.
Yeah, so for instance, because I watched Buffy when I was very young, I couldn't pick Buffy as being in my top 5. So it's just been from entirely new stuff from this year. This feels very structured and professional. And I
know,
like
I'm not entirely comfortable with it.
No.
Like, we've gone very quickly from making crude masturbation jokes to
Some things don't change. So
here are the rules that we have made for our top 5. It's mostly so I can't just go, yeah, my top 5 is Gilmore Girls, seasons 1 to 5.
and I can't go love seasons 1 to 2.
Seasons, yeah.
So first, I think we'll do, because we've got a few honourable mentions. So these are ones that just didn't quite make it into our top 5. So do you want to go first? What's your first? Just run through all your honourable mentions, and then I'll run through all of mine, and we'll see if we've got any sort of agreement or.
Gilmore Girls. Honourable mention. Like, I can't. It's been mentioned every podcast since we recorded that episode.
Yeah.
I adore.
I can't remember.
Watched it so many times.
How did you come by? Did you just go on it?
I had a couple weeks to kill between my last job and this job, and was like, just looking for stuff on Netflix. I was like, I bet that's shit. Clicked on it and just went, crap. And then in 2 weeks watched 7 seasons of it.
That is mad how you did that. Okay. So you can't have that in your top 5 because you've seen it before.
Because of the rules we set.
How many honourable mentions do you have? Is it just
3?
2? 3. So what's your second honourable mention?
The Crown. Because I want to watch more of it, but my top 5 is filled with things that I enjoyed slightly more.
Yep.
And things that I've actually watched all of as well.
Yeah. I'll jump in and say The Crown is actually on my list of honourable mentions as well. Because I enjoyed it far more than I thought I was going to. Because, as I said when we spoke about it on the podcast, I'm not a massive royalist, and the idea of like a monarchy has difficult connotations for me. But having said that, I did really enjoy The Crown, and I watched it on the train coming up to you when we did our podcast from the same room, which actually was episode.
Yeah, it was that. It was The Crown. I will probably watch more of it.
Yeah. What's your third honourable mention?
My third and final, which was the toughest choice, was Designated Survivor.
Oh, that's on mine as well.
Because it's honestly, I'm up to date with it as well. I'm a couple weeks off, but
Because they
I
just
watched
had
the whole
series
thing.
2, didn't they? Quite recently.
Yeah, it's like halfway through or near the end of season 2. Like, it's properly good. Properly good. I really enjoyed it. It just didn't quite make the list.
I really liked it, even though it was still. I still struggle with him in that sort of role. I'm like, well, he's just Jack Bauer, but he's so good in that show. I really liked that show, but it just didn't make it into.
Yeah, I liked the whole idea of the show, which is like just because it's one of those things that you can imagine people just going like, imagine if, and then they've just gone, let's just actually go, let's just do it, go for it and write it.
It's a fantastic concept for a show. I really, really did enjoy that,
and what's good is that the fact that they have to sort of rebuild, like the American political system. It does a thing that a lot of politics shows don't do, which is sort of explain why things are how they are.
Oh, okay. I'd find that quite helpful because I don't.
Yeah, it does. I could probably now watch House of Cards and enjoy it, with understanding a bit.
Could you, in all...
Not now, no.
No, I was going to say. Because I was asking Lisa about that, and she said, well, I don't find it that difficult to divorce the art, or, the show, the music, whatever, from the artist. And I struggle a bit more with that. But...
I do as well, because I watched Baby Driver recently, and that was a bit sort of like,
it's
why do you have to be like that?
Well, it's more than a shame. It's disgusting. But American Beauty... it has been like in my top 5 films of all time for probably about 10 years, and I'm still not entirely sure whether I can reevaluate it or hold it with the same reverence that I once did in light of him being a complete dick. So was that it for your honourable mentions?
Those are my honourable mentions.
Okay.
So I've got 2 of yours.
Yeah.
What are the others?
I've only got a couple more. So one of them is pretty obvious. It's Love. It's again like you for Gilmore Girls. It's only my honourable mentions because I can't put it in my top 5. But just we were on holiday in Madeira, and the week before that we were just watching the show, and it was just fucking brilliant. I absolutely loved that show. It just feels, the characters feel so believable for the most part. Even if it is set in Hollywood and that. So yeah, Love's on there.
You wouldn't stop going on about it until I made you watch Gilmore Girls, and you were like, I am fuck Love. Gilmore Girls.
And then another honourable mention. I've only got 2 left, so it's Legion. There's another one.
Legion would have been on my honourable mentions as well. It was fine for a spot in the top 5, but it fell out of the honourable mentions as well. It's so good.
It was just weird enough, but just technically brilliant enough to save it from being too weird. Like even the musical sequence.
What's good is that keeps up for the whole show.
Oh, good.
Like that sort of level of like, kind of what the fuck is going on, is always omnipresent.
Oh, I've just realised I've written my oh, thank God I did it in that order, because the last honourable mention I've put in my honourable mentions category, and also in my top 5. So I'll ignore that one.
That's good.